The American Revolution was a political and military struggle waged between 1765 and 1783. It began when 13 of Britain's North American colonies rejected its imperial rule and taxation. Without representation, the conflict arose from growing tensions following the 7 Years' War, which left Britain with a massive national debt. To pay this debt, the British Parliament passed laws like the Stamp Act of 1765, taxing newspapers and legal documents. Colonists protested violently, arguing that their traditional rights as Englishmen were being violated. Tensions boiled over in 1770 with the Boston Massacre, where British soldiers fired into a crowd, killing 5 civilians. In 1773, the Sons of Liberty staged the Boston Tea Party, dumping hundreds of chests of British tea into the harbor. Britain responded with the Intolerable Acts, closing Boston Harbor and placing Massachusetts under martial law. In response, 12 colonies sent representatives to the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia in 1774. The war officially began in April 1775 with the battles of Lexington and Concord, the famous shot heard round the world. Initially, the colonists fought only for their rights within the British Empire, not for total independence. However, King George III declared the colonies to be in a state of open rebellion, ending hopes for reconciliation. In January 1776, Thomas Paine published Common Sense, a pamphlet that persuasively argued for independence. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, drafted primarily by Thomas Jefferson. This document proclaimed that all men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The war itself was difficult. The Continental Army, led by George Washington, was often ragtag, unpaid, and starving. They faced the British Army, the most powerful and disciplined military force in the world at that time. A major turning point occurred in 1777 at the Battle of Saratoga, where American forces captured a British army. This victory convinced France to officially enter the war as an American ally, providing crucial money, troops, and a navy. The war then became a global conflict, with fighting spreading to the Caribbean, Europe, and India. The winter of 1777 at Valley Forge tested the American resolve, as thousands died from disease and exposure. However, the army emerged from Valley Forge better trained and more disciplined. Thanks to Baron von Steuben, the British shifted their strategy to the south, hoping to rally loyalist support, but faced fierce guerrilla warfare. In 1781, a combined American and French force trapped Lord Cornwallis's army at Yorktown, Virginia, cut off by the French Navy and bombarded by artillery. Cornwallis surrendered on October 19, 1781. This effectively ended major combat operations in North America, though the war continued formally for 2 more years. The Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, with Britain recognizing the independence of the United States. The revolution was more than just a war, it was a radical experiment in republican government. However, the new nation faced immediate challenges, as the initial Articles of Confederation proved too weak to govern effectively. This led to the Constitutional Convention of 1787, where the current U.S. Constitution was drafted. The revolution did not end slavery, and women and Native Americans were largely excluded from its promises of liberty. Yet, its ideals sparked a wave of democratic revolutions that would sweep across France, Haiti, and Latin America. The American Revolution created the first modern democracy, setting a precedent that would change the course of human history. It established the principle that legitimate government relies on the consent of the governed. Today, The legacy of 1776 continues to influence political debates and movements for freedom worldwide.